Ladies and gentlemen, yeah, we started like that this time. Ladies and gentlemen, gear up and tune in because the Gunn Show VIP edition is about to revolutionize your podcast experience with the power of manufacturing. Now, before you yawn and say, manufacturing, really? Let me hit you with some real talk. Manufacturing isn't just about greasy overalls and heavy machinery. It's the lifeblood of everything around us. From the smartphone you're glued to that comfy chair you're lounging in, manufacturing magic made it happen. And the Gunn Show VIP edition, it's your all-access pass to the behind-the-scenes world where innovation meets conveyor belt. But wait, there is more. We're not just talking gears and gadgets. We're diving into the future, developing the next gen of manufacturing engineers who are going to keep our world running. Think of them as the superheroes of tomorrow, only their capes are safety goggles and CAD designs. Got it right that time. And with the labor shortage hitting us like a freight train, there's never been a better time to jump into manufacturing. We're talking great jobs, folks, with opportunities to climb faster than you could say assembly line. Now, let's get real about the diversity in the workforce as well. The Gunn Show VIP edition isn't just preaching. It's leading the charge to bring all walks of life into manufacturing. And why? Because innovation thrives on diversity. Different perspectives fuel creativity, solving problems faster than you can 3D print a coffee mug. And in today's world, we need all hands on deck to keep pushing forward. To seal the deal, let me leave you with a quote that packs a punch. The secret of change is to focus all of your energy not on fighting the old, but building the new. That's from wise old Socrates, and yes, I have been recently in Greece, and that's exactly what the Gunn Show VIP edition is all about. So if you're ready to be inspired, informed, and maybe even a little entertained, tune in and turn up. Because when it comes to the future of manufacturing, you're either in the front row or you're missing out. So welcome to the Gunn Show VIP edition, where we're making the future, and you are the VIP. All right. Bad joke of the day, Christian. You ready for that one? Oh, yeah. You know you're not. Everyone's already rolling their eyes. It's so bad, but it's okay. Manufacturing is so invisible. When it tries to make a point in an argument, the other industries ask, did you hear something? Yeah, that's how invisible manufacturing is. At least I got a chuckle out of you guys today. How about that? All right, thank you, MTDCNC. You are the motor behind this momentum that we are creating here at the Gunn Show podcast. We want to thank our sponsors, AMT. IMTS is this year, September. We know we're all going. If you're not currently planning to attend, I'd love to see you there. I do plan to do podcasting there as well, and I will be having guests 5 days, I believe, Monday through Friday. 4 hours per day is the current plan. Let's see if that goes through, and it should be fun if it does. So yes, podcasting there as well. Let's also thank EBITDA Growth Systems, consulting agency that allows companies to thrive financially when most people are great at machining, and sometimes the front and back ends become a struggle. EBITDA Growth Systems even makes a promise that says, or a guarantee that says, we will double your profits within 3 years. Now, I've not heard of anything as cool as that before, but if you are in a situation where you think maybe doubling your profits is a good idea, reach out to my friends Dave and Mike at EBITDA Growth Systems. Okay, now, we always play games at the end of this show, so make sure you stick around for that. And my guest today, a really awesome, fun guy, and not the mushroom style, but fun guy, F-U-N-G-U-Y. Really awesome and fun guy has chosen 2 games. One of those is If I Were a Game and Would You Rather. So please put your hands together. I can't hear you guys. Oh, there we go. There it is. I can hear it from my side, but on the opposite side, how good is the internet these days? Can I hear you cheer? All right, I can hear it. I can hear it now. All right, please put your hands together for my guest, Adam Bennett, a self-proclaimed tech geek for vision and automation technology. Adam is currently the director of enterprise sales at Matroid, which kind of sounds like a video game I used to play. Do you remember that, Matroid? Yeah, me too. A company that makes computer vision simple. However, I'm going to learn a lot with you guys today because, again, like some of my other podcasts and like we like to do, we like to step a little bit out of our comfort zone to learn something new because we're providing information to an audience that constantly absorbs so much, and we love that about you. So thank you for tuning in. Welcome back to the Gunn Show, my friends. This is the VIP edition. Adam, how we doing, buddy? Thank you for being here.
Well, yeah, thanks for having me. Excited to be here. Yeah.
So what we like to do on this show to always get started is to hear about the journey. But before we do that, because I've already mentioned a video game of Metroid, let's clarify what this actually is, and then we'll go back to your journey of how you got here.
Yeah, so I'm not a mathematician, but I can tell you that Matroid is really a term that comes out of the world of mathematics. So it's a mathematical algebraic expression is really what it's representative of. And if we think about AI is essentially a bunch of really advanced math.
Yeah. Yes, it is. It's a great algorithm. Learning all the time. Learning faster than I am.
Yes. So yeah.
And that's kind of the concept.
That's it. Yeah.
Cool. I like it. All right. Now, knowing who you are, we have a couple of laughs coming, I believe, about your journey to how you got to where you are today and the transition of your family and the movements you made. Can we start, I don't know, let's say teenage years, college years, what you were thinking at that time? Did you know what you wanted to do?
I wasn't thinking. What are you talking about? Yeah, there's no thinking at all.
Not as a teenager, was it?
No. Yeah, gosh, my journey began, at a point of right out of college, we're all told, or right out of high school, we're all told to go to college, right? Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, let me try this out. I like mechanical things, so let me do mechanical engineering. Started that for like a semester and was like, nah, it's not my thing. I want to go make money. So
mechanical engineering.
Yeah. So I grew up in Kentucky, the greater Cincinnati area, kind of in the country area, and did a lot of landscaping work. And I was like, man, I can make more money running my own business doing this stuff, So I kind of just went out and did that. And then after a while, I was like, I want to do something fun, and got into like motorcycle road course racing and doing all of that stuff. And then, then it turned into like, yeah, I'm never gonna make a good career doing this stuff. Mm-hmm. I guess I need to like fall in line and go to college and figure this out. So my passion was with racing and motorsports and stuff. So I did go to college. I got my degree in electrical. It was like electromechanical, and then moved to electrical engineering. And the irony is I was able to apply everything that I loved about motorcycles to be able to comprehend all the engineering that I was learning. Electronics, I was like relating it to how the engines work and the electronic systems, fuel systems, and all that. That was my only way to like put it all together and like get it. But coming out, I ended college. I graduated in 2012. And at that point, the economy had, from tanked and was coming back up on a rise. There was a lot of opportunity. And I didn't really know anything about manufacturing, never really cared about manufacturing, and ended up being this company that was hiring for somebody like kind of doing applications sales with sensor systems. And there's technology, sensors and controls. And so I was like, let's try this out, because I spent my senior project developing like a DAC system for my motorcycle to take on the racetrack, collect data. I wanted to like create like an active suspension, all this stuff. And I was like, I worked with all these types of sensors, and I saw that was what they worked with. I was like, I get it. Let me go see what I can do with this. And then the rest is history. Took my career path into a fun direction.
Amongst this journey, and I'm going to go back into it in a bit, but what I want to talk about also is your journey from one location to another location, because you're not still in the same area. You are now a neighbor of mine for the most part.
Yes. Now in Florida. Yeah. So started out in Kentucky, did a lot of work there, and the company that I worked for was like, hey, man, we'd love you to come out to Philly to headquarters and be a product manager and manage these 2D and 3D imaging technologies that we have, and RFID and safety technologies. It's like, cool, this is a great opportunity in my career, because at the time I was kind of sales and applications. Sales engineering is really an underrated role, by the way. But I was just at a weird point in my life of like, do I want this sales title on my head forever, right?
A lot of the engineer-thinking people come through that same...
Yeah.
In fact, we had Darth Vader at the front of our table the other day. We had him turn it around and say, welcome to the dark side, to a gentleman who went from engineering to sales. So please continue. But yes, we all go through that, I think.
Yeah, and that's what it was. So I was like, well, this is my opportunity, let me move into product management. So I did that. Loved the company, loved the role that I had. It was absolutely amazing. It really accelerated my career. It really took me to another stage. Got to do a lot of fun things. But I moved to the Philadelphia area, and being from Kentucky, my wife said, get us the heck out of here. No offense to anybody that lives in that area. It was just a change for us. And
no offense there. I mean, not that our production guy, Christian, behind there also left that general area and now lives in Florida. I mean, we're starting to see a trend. Yeah. But again, no offense. We don't mean anything by it. We know how wonderful the Midwest can be.
beautiful area.
Yes.
But yeah, so she's like, let's go somewhere else, and literally put our finger on the map. It's
Just spin a globe like old school style. And go,
pretty close.
Yeah?
Pretty close. And and now we are in St. Augustine, Florida.
Beautiful area, might I
Love it.
add. I mean, I think it's oftentimes underrated as one of the best places in all of Florida. It has such a historical area. Most people go, well, I'm in Jacksonville, and Jacksonville has great industry there for what we do, but St. Augustine is, I mean, wow, what a lovely place to pick.
It is. Yeah, it's beautiful. We love it. To your point, the history. It's pretty neat to go in areas and you see buildings that were built in the 1500s, and it's like, wow, you usually only see this in Europe, And yeah, it's pretty cool.
Well, it came from Europe, right? Or it's
Exactly.
from Spain, I believe.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. A lot of Spanish
Influence there,
influence,
yeah. So, okay, we kind of glazed over this part, so I'm going to trek backwards a little bit, where you said, I went to school for about a month, and I was like, I'm not doing this, a semester, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
And then you did kind of your own thing for a bit, right? What was that own thing you were doing? And I'm leaving you with that question because I also want to mention that I'm actually headed up to Philly to hang out with my buddy Tony Saloom with VAC Motorsports to do racing stuff in that area in just a couple of weeks. With the Saratisit folks as well, the cutting tools to see how all the parts are made, and I believe Tony's going to throw me in a car with them and race around the track a little bit.
Fun.
We're gonna throw a GoPro in there, get some good footage. So right up your alley, I think, with all of that.
I wish I would have sent you a cool guy picture. I call it a cool guy picture. I spent my time with super bikes.
Nice.
So I became a technician on kind of the high-end motorcycles, so mainly Ducati, so high-end Italian brand, and so did a lot of road course racing, track day events. So I've been on the tracks from Daytona to Barber Motorsports Park out in Alabama, which is by far my favorite track. If you ever get a chance to go out there and drive anything on that track, I highly recommend it. Mid-Ohio, Virginia VIR, out in Danville, Virginia. So been to all these various tracks, and that's what I did. So I was a tech. So I got to I didn't get to own the Ducatis, the $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 motorcycles, but I have absolutely been able to tear them apart and rebuild them and do anything you can imagine to these things. And then I spent a little stint working with a AMA race team out of DeLand, Florida. It was a Hooters Suzuki and Hooters Aprilia. Aprilia is another Italian brand, and so I did a lot. I was traveling and doing these things. It was fun.
I've darn near killed myself on a Ducati, so we have familiarity there.
Yeah.
I grew up in Virginia, and two of my good friends were, it's not professional, but just under professional go-kart racers, and we were always in Danville racing over there.
Yeah.
And so I can see where you're coming from, but also based on what you've described, you do have a really mechanical aptitude. You're able to just kind of. And I think we're going to connect some dots, and I use that term a lot because, I'm bad at puzzles and such. Even dot to dots, when they had the numbers, I get it right. I was like, that doesn't look right. I'm going to number 27 from 37. I'm going to make my own little
Whoever
dot to dot.
made this did the numbering
system
system
did it all wrong.
Yeah.
I'm real stubborn like that. But I think we're going to connect the dots with where you currently sit based on this real intelligent mechanical aptitude that you have. You really enjoy that. So is this what you did in between going back for your degree? Is what you've described just now?
Yeah, and honestly, I share that because that's really like my way of sharing. Like that's how I was able to connect those dots of understanding everything that I was learning. I had to like relate it to real world hands-on things. I mean, that's just the way my brain works. And so when I'm learning about how like transformers and all these electronic systems and putting electrical circuits together, like it was very boring to me unless I'm like again, my senior project was a data collection system for a motorcycle. And I was like, okay, well, my intent here is to build this electronic board. I built it from scratch, designed it, the whole thing.
What?
Yeah. And so now it's like a little trophy piece for me that I keep. But that's what allowed me to actually learn. Otherwise, I would have been just I don't want to say mediocre. I just
it'd be more theoretical instead of in practice, right?
Yes.
And what you're doing is making sure you rip everything apart to see how it works. Is that how you construct most of your life?
You hit the nail on the head. I mean, if anybody ever asks me about a lot of what I do or how do you get somewhere in manufacturing or any of these things, it's kind of like get rid of theory. If you don't put your hands on it, Good luck. You have to get your hands dirty. You have to know how things actually work.
I'm actually going to use this as a wonderful segue to talk to the audience real quick. And Christian's been doing this for a while now with me, and he, from day one, was like, well, manufacturing seems interesting, but I don't know a lot about it. And I would say this is, I don't know, episode 20, 30, somewhere around there we've done together. We're going to end up going through a full year of podcasting. And he grasps a little bit more from time to time, and he seems to enjoy it a bit more. I see him shaking his head up and down. What I want to say is, to the audience, is exactly what Adam just said, which is about taking things apart and not just making it in theory. I myself graduated high school with a 1.26 GPA. I didn't get past Algebra 1. I dropped out my junior year of high school, ended up going into lifeguarding at the YMCA, then went back in the summer so I could graduate on time with my friends, but I was horrible. The only thing I was actually good at was shop classes. I was in the FFA, which is Future Farmers of America. I'm not a farmer, as you can tell. I think I pretty much kill everything I touch. But I was in the farmers area for 5 years, and it was in fact, I got kicked out of Spanish 1 every year I was even in it. They sent me to a library, said I was so bad, and then I married a Mexican. So this is really working out for me on top of that. But what I want to say is, if you're out there, if you're a tinkerer, if you're touching things, if you don't feel like you're the greatest at this structured, sit in the desk, memorize, repeat school system, we want you in manufacturing. You are actually thrive in our industry. I wouldn't call myself a dummy by any means, but I didn't do well in that sit, memorize, repeat, test style environment. And look at what's happened now with the program. I can program CNC machines line by line on G code, M code, all that fun stuff, and I didn't get past algebra because when you touch it, when you feel it, it connects. You would agree with all that, right, Adam?
100%. You hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
I completely agree with all of that. Yeah. We're like misfits.
We are. We're an industry of misfits. I love it.
That's exactly what we are. I actually, a great mentor of mine he always talked about being a misfit in the world, and I kind of grasp onto that, and I'm just like, the misfits are the ones that do well. They're the ones that succeed and say and figure out how to apply things. And to your point about being a fit in manufacturing, if you're a misfit, you'll do well in manufacturing.
If you're a misfit, you'll fit right in.
Yeah, exactly.
More bad dad jokes, but you will fit right in.
So true. Yeah.
And to your point as well about misfits, I don't know the actual definition of it, but I would make the discussion that misfits are pretty good at thinking outside the norm, taking structures and going, well, that doesn't make sense for my style of learning, and then kind of breaking things down, rebuilding them other places, kind of like we've done physically, but also with structures where we don't fit perfectly. And what a great salt of the earth group of people manufacturing is, with all these misfits and stuff. All right, let's get back to you, Adam. Let's get back to your journey. You're ripping stuff apart. You decided, I got to go make some money somehow. I got to go back to school. I got to go get some jobs, do this adulting thing that everyone's like, why am I wanting to be an adult so bad?
Yeah.
So you started that process. You went back to school. What comes from there?
At EBITDA Growth Systems, we guarantee to double your value in 3 years. Well, instead of telling you about a guarantee, how about if I tell you a story? We had a shop owner come to us at an event saying, I'm not sure if you can help us. He said, we have our credit lines maxed out in our business. I have a second mortgage on my home, it's maxed out. I'm not sure what to do. I have a payroll coming up next week and I don't know if I'm gonna make it. Can you help us? We said we weren't sure, so we came in and we came alongside of him. In 18 months, he went from not having any money to having over $800,000 in the bank and having a 6 times exit what his value was at that day. And now he's living a life that he always dreamed of with his family. And it's fantastic, and that's what's really rewarding for us, and that's what EBITDA Growth Systems is all about. If you want to know more about EBITDA Growth Systems, go to www.ebitagrowthsystems.com, EBITDA growthsystems.com, and go to our contact page where I will reach out to you personally.
Yeah, it was really just focusing on those courses, and then just trying to apply it, and that, like I mentioned, it's kind of my way of applying it. And
2 major companies you've been with, right? Is that correct?
Prior to where I'm at, yeah.
Yeah, prior to where you're at, 2 major ones that brought you to where you are. And I am going to spend some time on where you are now, because this is kind of like a startup, or is a startup? I mean, you guys are getting moving, and it's incredible technology, but it's considered a startup, right?
Yep.
Cool.
Exactly.
So what I want to do now, if it's okay with you, is I would like to maybe share some of your favorite stories or some of your hardest tackles that you ever had to make on those first two major places to build the confidence with the audience that when we introduce this new startup, they're going to go, that Adam dude, I trust him. I love that guy, what he's been through already. So let's share some stories about the first two places that brought you to where you are, about the character that it built, the strength that it brought, difficulties, successes, some of your favorite stories that go along with it.
There's so many. Yeah. So really the beginning of it was kind of coming into the world of manufacturing. This company did sensors and controls, the first company that I worked for right out of college. And going into manufacturing, you were expected, you're in the field, back to the point of hands-on, right? You're out there solving problems inside of a production facility, right? You're selling this technology, but at the end of the day, I would actually manipulate my business card to say applications engineer, because at the end of the day, that's what I was doing. I'd go in and talk to people. I'm kind of like consulting, if you will, like, what's your problem? What are you trying to do? You know what I mean? And
I did the same thing. I'm not gonna lie. My card when I was doing a little bit of sales, technical sales, was applications engineer.
Well, because people don't trust sales. Like, I didn't trust sales. I'm like, whoa. I don't sell used cars. This isn't my thing. I didn't, put water in the oil. Like, this isn't what I'm doing.
Yes.
And so the interesting thing was actually all the acronyms. And then day to day, I mean, you'd have 3, 4, 5 meetings at totally different facilities in the same day. So 1 minute you're talking to somebody that's doing, like, I don't know, milk processing. The next meeting you go into a place where they're doing stamping and welding. And then the very next meeting is like you're dodging dead chicken head or dead chickens and body parts, heads and guts and stuff. And in the very next meeting, you're back into, like, I don't know, machine tool operations, and like
how diverse.
Yeah, so it was just like completely different. And then a lot of the times, and I'd love to be able to give you a good example, but I probably can't. But the same thing would be called something else at each facility, because to them, the way they operate. So it was like just understanding their world, their language of how they operate. That was probably the biggest learning curve for me. At the beginning, it was just like learning a whole lot, like all the things that each industry, because manufacturing, we talk it as an industry, but there's industries within manufacturing.
Yeah, tons.
Right?
Yeah.
Tons of them. And there's a lot of different governance and compliance, that everyone has to follow suit with. And SOPs are just different. And so being able to understand all of that was probably the biggest learning curve in the beginning for me.
I can imagine. And I'm trying to help you out with thinking of a general statement that would help in each industry, because you do think, farming, the traditional style of farming, then you have animal farming, then you mentioned stamping, then you're in a more traditional machine shop, less fabrication, and then maybe you can even get within medical, aerospace, defense, all of these things within that side. And now we're doing additive. And and now we're doing AI stuff, and then you get into all the machine monitoring, and we're gonna kind of you see how I'm segueing you in here? You see this, Adam?
Yeah, I see it.
So, but you're right. It's almost like coming from Kentucky to Florida and speaking the same language.
Right. Yes. Yeah. I mean, a big difference. No, that's that was probably the biggest one. Yeah.
Do you have? We love the journey because it shows people that it's not just about success, and so many people only see the light bulb of success and go, "I want to be that right now. I want to be that. I want to be Adam. Adam's got this successful everything right now. I want to do that." So to hear your story is wonderful, and to hear that little struggle is wonderful as well. And this doesn't completely go into what I just described, but I want to hear one of your successes, one of your favorite successes from those first two areas. Do you have a story where you went into a customer? Do you have a story where you personally can say, this was a moment for me where I learned something great and made me a better human? However you'd like to take it. It could be a personal, it could be a business structure, but we love hearing, even though the struggles are good to allow us to connect and empathize with each other, it's also good to hear about the successes and the aha moments of what's gone on in our lives as well.
Gosh. That's hard to think of a really, say, compelling story to tell. There's a lot of those moments. I would say for me, there's been a lot of valleys and hills, in this, and I'd say in the very beginning, the exciting times for me was being able to go into a facility and say, one of the things that I latched onto, I've always latched onto like new innovation. So whatever the new technology that's out there, I guess like anyone else, you kind of latch on to wanting to be a part of that in some way. So for me, it was like vision technologies and 2D and 3D vision, and how can I incorporate this? How can I solve problems? How can these technologies help, right? And then finding those niche areas and truly like solving those things. So there's several companies that I have in mind that really wanted to blow themselves up, and technology ended up being an enabler for them. So being a part of that. So one of these companies that I worked with was like small kind of hole in the wall looking of a place in Louisville, Kentucky. And they wanted to break into the logistics world with some of these new technologies and solve some really big problems that were out there that no one was able to do. And this whole 3D imaging was new to the market, and I was able to kind of bring that technology to them. And the funny thing about this was 3D was all new, and you get this 3D point cloud. No one knows what to do with all this data. How do we use this? And people in the company that I worked for kind of doubted, these guys in Louisville, Kentucky, like just want to grab this and do something with it. Like we're talking with these roboticists that don't even know how to use this yet. And I'm like, let's give them a shot. What's it going to hurt? You pick a couple $1,000s for a camera, like let them do whatever they're going to do. These guys spent, I think it was maybe 3 months, and they developed an algorithm using these stitching 3D cameras, multiple 3D cameras together to understand bulk, holistic of what's going on in this operation for what they were trying to do. And the company that I worked for couldn't even make algorithms as fast.
Wow.
And it was fun because it was going back to that misfit.
Yeah.
And that people kind of having this judgment of people, they're from, this part of the country, and, I don't expect them to be able to do this. And some of the smartest people I've ever worked with are the people that have just gotten their hands dirty doing work.
Hell yeah. I'll give you a high five for that one. Well said. Well said. All right. So let's move into this startup. Let's move into what you're doing, why you took a position at a startup, knowing your background, and what you guys are able to do to support the industry that we're in, so that people listening to this podcast can choose in an intelligent manner if it works for them or not.
Yeah.
So let's just get into all Matroid.
Yeah.
And what it all means.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess your first question was, how did I get there?
Oh, Christian, I'm synonymous for asking about 7 questions in the same question, aren't I? he's shaking his head. Yes, I do that all because I want to know everything.
Yeah.
And then I'll jot things down. I'm like, I'm gonna ask this one in just a second. I'm gonna ask this, and I'll forget sometimes. So I ask them all at the same time, and then I confuse my guests. So I'm not sure that's a great way to do it either. Okay.
No. It's good. So I guess the journey of getting there, it was. I had moved to the second company and loved it. One of the most advanced controls companies out there on the market. Very innovative, and I loved what I was doing there. It was very, very fun, but COVID happened.
What was that thing called?
Yeah, that whole COVID.
Yeah, barely heard of it.
Yeah. No one really knows much about it, but that happened. So and in that world of what I was doing was industrial controls. So I learned a lot about the electronics market and who the electronics market supplies. I think we all learned that lesson, right? It was kind of like, we supply consumer and IT grade. The industrial world is kind of low on the totem pole here, so you guys aren't getting the orders of all these components that you need. So there came that shortage, right, that we all know about and experienced. How fun that was. And but in that moment, I had already been thinking a lot about what I was doing. And I was a product manager prior to that in 2D and 3D imaging, and I saw the gap being software. Software was the differentiator. There's a lot of amazing companies out there that make really good hardware, but the differentiator was software. And so I wanted to get back into that, into the world of vision technologies. And so this company, Matroid, is deep learning. So I did some research on these guys. So Matroid, I guess to give the backstory of Matroid,
yes, please.
Started 2016 by a Stanford professor who has a very compelling background, who actually is the author of the original machine learning algorithm that made Twitter what it is today.
Wow.
Yeah. So the follower, the recommender of who to what to follow algorithm, he's the author of that, and he's got so many credentials of developing a 3D neural network through the product he created, being Matroid, to detect like glaucoma, He's also a co-author of anybody out there that knows data science. Wasn't anything that I knew much about at the time, but he is a co-author of SparkML, main machine learning library.
I know that one too. Yeah, I know Spark. Yep.
So he's a part of one of the early founding members of Databricks, which is now a very, very successful startup. That's, I think their valuation's over like $40 billion at this point. They've been on some financial news and all this stuff. So point of that was the foundation. So I kind of following that, right?
That's a heck of a foundation. Well done.
Yeah. So it was, for me, it was, okay, I'm seeing this amazing technology and the problems that it solves. I want to be a part of that. So I joined the team.
And who can blame you?
Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
I wish that was on my resume, first of all. And if it's not on my resume, if you pitch that to me, I'd want to join you too. It's fantastic.
Yeah. So it's been an exciting last few years here. Few years. And it's flying by, actually. But
a couple few.
Yeah, a couple few. So yeah, that's kind of how I got there. And so what we are is really the purpose, and the fun thing is what Reza saw. Reza Zadeh is the founder and CEO. So anybody that's interested, look him up. He's a pretty interesting guy. So really the gap was, how do you take deep learning, this new complex technology that everybody is trying to incorporate, and put that into the hands of domain experts of various industries, right? So our purpose as a company is to supply a platform that simplifies that technology so that, you don't have to go have a degree in data science, right? Be some degree deep learning engineer. You can leverage a platform that allows you to make sense of your visual data. So it's computer vision made simple. Computer vision is incorporating deep learning these days. So it's a platform that, if you're in manufacturing and you're monitoring operations, so things that you're looking for, like defects, like quality control, quality assurance, and you're looking for defects, you need traceability of this, and or on top of that, you want to monitor, operations that are going on that humans are in the loop. And we all talk about automation, we talk about robotics and how great all this is, but the reality is a lot of these operations, robotics is cost prohibitive, and people still do a pretty damn good job at some of these operations, and they're better than some of the automation, especially if you have a high number of SKUs of a product that you're making, all this variation. People do exceptionally well at that. And so AI is something computer vision can be something that monitors these operations, make sure people are following the tasks, the SOPs properly. And then if you're able to do that, we're able to actually capture cycle time analysis on this. So it's an interesting topic in manufacturing with cycle time. You want to always understand, right? You want to get to the tack time. What is our tack time? But then it's like, well, how do we improve that? What's going on? And to be able to do that, you got to understand your operations in real time. And sometimes you'll go out there with a clock and say, like, what's a person doing? How long does it take? But if I'm monitoring what you're doing, you're going to do your best.
It'd be real weird if you came out of the shop floor with a stopwatch and just watched me for about an hour and a half.
Yeah. You're probably going to be on your best behavior, or you're just going to be like, I'm going to do something goofy to this guy and mess with him, right?
Can I ask you, Adam, is it fair for me to ask you a somewhat difficult question? And maybe it's easy for you, but or controversial. How do we not describe this as Big Brother looking at a shop and watching people? Because if I've been a machinist and I've had cameras all over me. When I was in the jewelry world, they were always making sure we weren't stealing jewelry. And we had to go through it. We couldn't wear metal. We went through a metal detector in and out every day. Cameras were everywhere. And it did feel to me at that time like Big Brother was always... And if I'm being fair, there was a security guard in the front office that was watching us at all times. So it really was like Big Brother was there. But how would you kind of segregate all that?
Yeah, it's a lot of it is when you're looking at those like say you're monitoring an operation, it's honestly wherever you go, there's cameras everywhere.
We were talking about that just yesterday, weren't we, Christian? Yeah, I mean, we literally, you walk outside, you're on 20 cameras.
Oh yeah, there's a license plate reader I just noticed in my subdivision. Every entrance, it reads your license plate. Like, so it's inevitable. But I mean, there's Big Brother is an interesting thing, but a lot of this too is there's regulations on this stuff. So if you're monitoring people, they have to know that it's happening. And what we end up doing is applying obfuscations to like people's faces. So people hear of like, oh, facial recognition, all this. Sometimes it's misunderstood, misinterpreted. Facial recognition is really just recognizing. Well, there's a bunch of different layers of facial recognition. One of it is to identify, hey, this is Tony Gunn, this is Adam Bennett, right? That's when you go to the airport and they're using like 3D imaging to really map the face and everything. But some of the stuff I'd say that we do is really saying, is that a human face? Just like we would say, is that a microphone, coffee cup, water mug, an eagle, like an object? It's just an object. And then what you do is you do pre-processing where you can say, okay, blur that face out. But most of the time in these operations, the cameras are pointed in a way that you really don't see people's faces. And some of these conversations are people are like, well, I don't want people to know that I was the one doing this work. And the irony of that is
people know.
Pretty sure you badge into work.
Yeah. Pretty sure they know you're there.
And I'm pretty
sure, paycheck, right?
Yeah, I worked in the World RFID and we were badging in on machines, you
Yeah.
know, and so it's no different.
Well, I had to ask the question because there's definitely an audience out there that even still, when I walk in with a camera on the media side of things, they run. They'll tell me, I don't want to be on camera, not with the drone, not with anything, do not film me. And I can only imagine that maybe that's a piece of what someone who would invest in your product and your company might have to convey to their team when they start to implement it. So now that we've discussed that, let's talk about the successes that the people who want to buy into your company can create in their facility through this software.
Yeah, it's everyone wants to understand how can they apply AI.
Yeah.
Right now, it's really about how do I apply a technology. It's really about still going back to the same root problems that you have and how can you solve them. And sometimes AI is part of the toolkit. And really what we are doing is simplifying the ability to use it in those use cases. And so a lot of it is, you know, you have this traditional machine vision technology out there, and the challenge that there's awesome places for it. Like if you say, Adam, I need to measure something, I need to know that it's so many millimeters in size, you know, you're writing rules to apply that. So that's what we call rules-based vision. I'd say, yeah, you use rules-based vision. AI isn't going to help you there too much. Maybe to recognize that object to then measure it, right? So it's a combination thereof at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But really, it's there to solve these complex challenges where your defects that you're looking for instance, if we're talking strictly about defects, it's things that vary in shape, size, color, texture, that really the human eye can understand it. And so really what we tell people with the technology that we have is if you can see what it is that you're trying to inspect, to detect, as long as you can see it through the visual media, and you can tell the difference of what it is that you're looking for, then you can build these detectors yourself. You just go in and point, click, highlight, right, what it is and define it. That's say from a defect perspective, and the value there is being able to capture these really challenging defects that you typically require a human being to look for. And the problem with people doing it, people can do well for a little bit, but when you're standing there 8, 10, 12-hour shifts doing it all day, you kind of get that glaze over your eyes, and you're not really looking and judging.
Hey everybody, Mike Franz here with Shop Floor Coffee. For 20 years, we've been seeing the same issues going on with workforce development and the shortage in workers across the industry. We wanted a way to give back. Shop Floor Coffee is our way to do that. Proceeds from every bag or every type of coffee you buy from us go back to the community. We work with amazing programs and initiatives across the country where we're giving back. We want to help support the community. Come together with us. Join us in this effort to help support the community. Please, thank you very much.
Well, Adam, you actually are touching on a topic that I think we discuss a lot on here, which is dull, dirty, dangerous. This sounds like the dull part, where the human doing the same thing over and over and over again might be perfect on hour 1 or might be perfect on a Wednesday, but not a Friday. Friday's almost vacation. I'm not paying attention quite as much. Certainly hour 7, I'm just waiting for that bell to go off so I can get out of there and clock out. So you've hit one topic that I think is very, very important. Dull, dirty, dangerous. That's where automation comes in. That's where automation thrives. Remove people from the monotony. Remove people from getting their fingers chopped, things like this. So That makes perfect sense to me. If someone wants to find out more about you and the company, because we're getting ready to go into games as our clock is dwindling down, if someone wants to find out more about you and the company, do some research, how they can implement it, let's talk about where they can find you. And also, because I have my own curiosity, and again, I'm just asking multiple questions like I always do. Sorry about that. I can see this being really strategically placed in large companies and makes all the sense in the world. Their budgets are whatever they want them to be.
Yeah.
Is there a minimum level of what size shop could also benefit from implementing this into their facility? So the two questions, where can we find you, and what's a minimum of where you think this will be most beneficial?
Yeah. I'd say, so to find me, I'm on LinkedIn. That's probably the best place to find me.
That's how I found you.
Yeah. There's so many social media platforms out there, but LinkedIn is probably the one that I spend my most time on. Feel free to email me, adam.bennett@matroid.com. We're at matroid.com. You can check us out there. That's probably the best place.
That's the website?
Yeah.
Would you mind spelling it for us?
Yeah, matroid.com.
Perfect. Yep. Thank you.
It's as far as like companies' sizes to incorporate the technology. The technology in of itself, I think anybody can incorporate, right? It's a matter of what level. Matroid is intended to be more of an enterprise platform at this stage today. And so we typically look for companies that have problems that are costing you, if you know it's costing you $250,000 a year of a problem, right, that you have that you're trying to solve, and you think that these inspection technologies can be of benefit to help resolve, capture, help coach your operators how to do things better type of thing, that's where we're going to be a fit. Yeah.
I like it. Good answer. You ready to play some games?
Love it.
All right, brother. Appreciate you being here. All right, the first game that we're going to do today, one of the two you chose, is If I Were. So it's kind of like if I were I'm going to give you the first one, and then I'm going to let you pick your favorite numbers, because I have about 30 of them on here to go through. We're only going to do one, 2 or 3, but I'm going to give you the first one just so you have an idea of how it works. So number 1 is, if I were a motion sensor, what kind of movements would I be most sensitive to? So you don't have to answer that one, but that's the idea. That's the concept. Some of them you could even do a pass. I had somebody the other day who was like, what? What kind of a question is that? Can I pass, please? So you can most definitely, if it does not pertain to anything, or if you don't find it entertaining enough, you are definitely welcome to pass. And for everyone watching and listening, we love when you give your answers in the comments as well. It really creates a snowball effect of conversation, and we love to watch them on LinkedIn and YouTube as well. So, what's your first favorite number, Adam?
Ooh, it's kind of the cliche, 7.
7. Why everyone pick? I'm gonna start making number 7, Christian, like the craziest out of the box one, because a lot of people pick 7 right away. All right, number 7 is, if I were a drone's control system, how would I navigate through an obstacle course in the Amazon rainforest?
Amazon, God, that's too many things that you're going to need to navigate that.
Yeah, it sounds like a mess, doesn't it? Can't even navigate
the humidity
myself.
sensor is going to be pretty important there first.
Yeah, that is a great one to start with. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the answer?
That'll be my start. That's kind of like a rapid fire, but I'd say you're definitely using some vision and some accelerometers and tilt and all that good jazz.
Yeah, yeah. Humidity. There's
looking out for all these wild birds and snakes and.
Imagine you could though. Imagine the software that we've talked about today with Matroid. And you could identify all the different animals because there's so many in the. That'd be kind of cool.
Hey, it's a flying squirrel, so you might want to watch out.
with all the, I think the biggest killer around there is either mosquitoes or ants. Really, you have piranhas and cougars and all sorts of giant snakes, but the mosquitoes are going to take you down.
Just keep the altitude. You're good.
All right. What's your second favorite number?
Oh, 4.
4 it is.
Don't ask me why.
Now I want to ask.
I don't know. It was random.
Okay, it really was a don't ask question. Got it. If I were an applications engineer for a gaming company, what revolutionary game controller would I design?
Ooh. It's going to be a system that applies AR, of course. Yeah.
Especially these days,
Yeah,
right?
especially
it was a
these
dream
days.
before. It's coming to reality now.
Well, the whole time I just, as they're doing these things, it's just kind of, I'm like, VR? Like, you're going to run to the wall. Like, you're going to run into everything.
I've
Like,
done
this
that,
is-
actually.
This is goofy. I'm like, you got to be able to perceive and overlay it in your real world. That is going to be awesome. And obviously, that's kind of where they're at now.
Yeah, and if we get too close to that, it's going to be a lot like a couple of the movies I've seen where we get lost in that reality of whoever we want to be and we forget about the real
I love
world.
the memes that I'm seeing now with the Apple Vision of people like walking out on the road and like you just do like the cross section across the road and like doing something random in space, because they're on their Apple Vision thing.
Which one of the laws is survival of the fittest?
Yes, don't fall into the trap.
Yeah. All right, we'll do one more of these. What's your third favorite number? And I won't ask you why.
24.
24. Let's see.
Ask me why.
Not this time. Not this time. Not falling for that again, Adam. You already got me once. If I were an applications engineer for a pet tech company, what device would I create for pet health?
Pet health? Man. Probably monitoring its what it does. Its activities. Yeah, kind of like the Apple Watch, right? It's kind of like
Oh, Apple Watch for pets.
yeah, Apple Watch.
Did you
for
get your
pets.
cardio in today? You get your steps in.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you gotta let those guys run around.
We do. We definitely
Yeah.
do. All these ones trapped in people's purses. Stop doing that.
Yeah.
Stop putting pets in your purse. I mean, occasionally, yes, a stroller and okay, but all the time? Come on, folks. I live in South Florida. I'm seeing it far too much. These are pets. We love them. Let's treat them a little bit like they want to be wild a little bit too. They are best friends. Anyway, we'll go into that. That's a completely different topic, and I hope I didn't offend anyone, but that's how I feel about it today.
And you got to give them shoes if you live in Florida. Like it's so the ground is so hot. I'm like their feet have got to be burning. Like
See them walking all funny, right?
Yeah. I'm like pay attention to how hot it is.
All right, we got a couple of minutes left, Adam. We're going to slide over to this Would You Rather game. Again, I'm going to give you an example. And again, to the audience, we love the comments in the bottom. The first one that you're not going to answer is, would you rather work with sensors that can detect emotions or sensors that predict weather with 100% accuracy? That's actually a really cool question. You want to answer that one? I didn't expect it to be. I think I'd want emotions.
Yeah, emotions is that's a hard one to read, and that's something that a lot of people suck at. Is understanding empathy and being able to understand how someone is reacting to things. Yeah.
Yeah, my wife tells me she keeps her smile on the inside. I think emotion. She's like, I'm always happy. Why aren't you smiling? It's on the inside. How can I tell? Anyway, all right. What's your next favorite number?
My next favorite number, probably 33.
Oh, can we go that high? Anything 30 or less?
30 or less, then I'm gonna say 27.
27 it is. Would you rather work on engineering applications that solve urban living challenges or make remote locations more habitable?
Ooh,
27's a good one, huh?
it is a good one. Probably the remote locations more habitable.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
I'd like to do both.
Yeah.
Can we do both? Can we pick both?
yeah,
There's no
yeah.
bad situation in that. In
No.
fact, you pick that one, I'll do the other one.
Yeah. We'll kind of like trade off. You know?
I think both could be helpful. Yeah. All right, next number.
24.
20?
Did I say 24 already?
You didn't. I think you did, but for the other section.
Oh.
So we're good. We're good here again. Would you rather manage manufacturing operations for a startup making sustainable clothing or for a tech giant producing the next big smartphone?
Probably the clothing,
Yeah.
oddly enough.
I don't know if that's odd. You're in a startup right now. It kind of fits.
Yeah, I'm already doing that. But yeah, me and my wife have been on this kick of changing materials and we're going nuts, looking into the details of these sorts of things. We literally just had a phone conversation yesterday on my drive down here about this. Yeah, you got to use hemp, wool, and cotton. We can't be using all these synthetics and plastics and stuff. It's bad for you. Yeah.
Well, shout out to your wife for that. And let me just say, when I did own my natural healing company, our shirts were made of bamboo and hemp, and there's a great company in Colorado that can do it for you. So shout out to her. And Ono, I think it's called ONNO, ono.com, if you're interested in bamboo and
Have
hemp.
to check that out for
Yeah.
sure.
When we were 7 C's Purity of Life, and when we were Your Tea of Life, because we rebranded after a few years, we did make those shirts, and it was sustainable. And everything we did at that company was sustainable. So
That's awesome.
yeah, shout out to your wife for that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, Adam, you are off the hot seat. You have been an absolute pleasure today. Thank you for coming down and joining Christian and I on the podcast on the Gunn Show.
Yeah.
A gentleman and a scholar. If it were later in the day, yes, we're giving time away today. If it were later in the day, we would do a drink right now and have a toast. Are there any closing statements that you'd like to leave with, as if we did have a toast to give right now for everyone who's listening?
Oh man, yeah. If I'm ever like giving a toast out, I mean, I'm a religious guy, so I always thank God first. My wife, holy hell, she's awesome. Giving me the opportunity to do the things that I do and take these adventures that I'm taking to improve our quality of life. And mentorship. Mentorship is so underrated. I wouldn't be here without. I've had various mentors. If you've asked me who has been my best mentor, I would say it's been different stages of my career, and there's been several of them. And I'm at a stage in my career where I'm trying to give that back too. But to those that have helped me, those of you that know me and worked with me, thank you for your support. Yeah.
Any shout outs you'd like to give of those mentors? If we're going to leave it with
Alice
so many,
Maggiolo,
right?
Rob Rarica, Roger Varma, you guys, yeah.
And then we feel bad.
They know who they are.
Yeah. They know who they are. All right, Adam, you are the man. Closing statement for today, my friends, as we wrap up another electrifying episode of The Gunn Show, VIP edition. I like saying that, VIP edition. I want to take a moment to talk about something we all wish we had more of, and that's time. It's that precious commodity you've generously shared with us today, and let me tell you, we're not just thankful, we're darn right honored. Time is the one thing we all run out of, and in fact, the fact that you choose to spend a slice of that with us in our little corner of the podcast universe, that's the kind of stuff that gets us up in the morning, so thank you from the bottom of our hearts. But before we hit the switch, before we hit the off switch, let's circle back to why bringing people together and support manufacturing isn't just good, it's great. It's about more than just jobs or cool tech. It's about families, communities, and yes, even national governments thriving together. When we invest our time and talents into manufacturing, we're not just making stuff. We're making a future that's brighter for everyone. We're talking about a world where innovation isn't just for the select few, but accessible to all, powering economies and opening doors to opportunities that span generations. And in the spirit of coming together, let's remember this powerful quote. Alone, we can do so little. Together, we can do so much. Helen Keller hit the nail on the head with that one, and it's a call to arms, or should I say, a call to hands, tools, and minds to join forces in the name of progress. So, whether you're a seasoned engineer, a student just starting out, or someone who's just plain curious about how the world ticks, your role in this journey is crucial. As we sign off, remember that the time you invest in supporting manufacturing, in educating yourself and others, and in just being a part of this community is invaluable. You're not just a listener, you're a mover and a shaker. It's arguably the most exciting field out there. So thanks again for sharing your time with us on the Gunn Show VIP edition. Here's to make it every second count, both on and off the air. Keep tuning in, keep questioning, and keep building, because together, there's nothing we can't create. Catch you on the next episode, where the future is always under construction.